Hey, you guys, this is Shamika with Dear Shamika, and on today's show, we are here with an interracial couple. How do you say your name? I know Madison, but how do you say your name? Because I don't want to butcher it.
It's all good. Hi, my name is Ilya.
Okay.
Yes, it's just a common name in Russian, not so common here.
Oh, so you're from Russia. Okay.
Yes, I
How long
am.
have you been in the States?
I moved here in 2008 when I just turned 13 years old. Moved here with my family. It's just my dad, my mom, my brother. We've lived all over upstate New York. We lived, Albany, Buffalo. Went to school in Rochester. My parents had a short stint in Minnesota, but then they came back, and so now they're in Buffalo, and I'm in Tennessee.
Okay. Okay, Madison, where are you from?
So I was originally born in Memphis, Tennessee. And then I moved to Fort Worth when I was like 8 or so, Fort Worth, Texas. And I lived there all the way until I went to college. And then I went to school in Florida. So kind of all around the South. And then right after school, I lived in Memphis for another 3 months before coming here to Nashville.
Okay. So, how old are you guys?
I'm 25. I'll be 26 like next month in like 3 weeks.
And I turned 27 a few months ago.
Okay. Is this your first interracial relationship?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Yeah. He's my first boyfriend, but I've dated
Wow.
interracially before, but he's my first boyfriend.
Okay. What who shot their shot? Who was the person that said, you know what, I'm gonna approach them? And how do you guys meet first and foremost?
Where do you want to start in this one? Or you want me
I'll
to?
say how we met.
Okay.
You can shoot the shot.
Okay.
You can answer that part. So we met at a random house party on Halloween where we both didn't really know anyone there. And it's super random how I ended up there with a friend of mine, and my friends made friends with him, and invited him out another time. And we've kind of been hanging out since then, in a way, since that second time we went out. So that's how we met. Yeah.
And
Okay.
for my part, the shooting the shot, I think like from the moment I saw her, it's a random party, random people. She just stood out to me, right? Right there and then. I didn't really know if we're gonna see each other again, but then yeah, she said I accidentally happened to have gotten the phone of her friend. Started hanging out with him. He brought her over when we went out to a bar together. We ended up talking. I was like, wow, what a nice girl she is, and then I think the rest was history. I just kept on talking.
Still here. Yeah.
Mhm.
Still hanging
Okay.
out.
So just for the sake of it being Dear Shamika, can you give us a demonstration of how you approached her? Like, do you
Ooh,
remember
okay.
like how you actually initiated the conversation to say, you know what, I like you and I want to date you?
I think it came at first, so the time we met, so I approached her dressed up as Indiana Jones because that was Halloween. So I think it was pretty memorable. Not don't see that Russian Indiana Jones random house parties in Nashville every day. And then afterwards, I think that when I really I think I showed my serious intentions. Just don't laugh. I took her shooting because she told me before how she's never shot a gun before. I'm like, you know what, for a woman, that's a good skill to have. Like that's actually very useful, and I'm happy to teach you. Seem to good to hang out. So we went out together. I teach her how to shoot. So like the way I approached was probably holding her from behind, guiding her, teaching her how to hold the firearm. So that was like the first time we actually went out on a date, and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
a
You asked
start.
me to be your girlfriend like maybe 2 months or so after we met. It was in December. And we just went on a date and had some great Mexican food and we're hanging out. And then he asked me to be his girlfriend. So that's how that happened. It's pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? After hanging out for so long. So that was nice.
Yeah, I
Okay.
knew we had something good going for us. So I knew that I have to solidify it. So you know what, would you like to be
Oh,
my
you had to
girlfriend?
cuff her real quick. You was like, I'm letting you
I
go.
mean, you can't lose that gem.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is so amazing. So being that you are from Russia, I know Madison stated she never been in an interracial relationship before. Had you ever been in an interracial relationship prior to?
Me, no, honestly, I've dated here and there, but it's been with most of it white women. That's what surrounded me. But for me, I never looked. I mean, it's gonna sound corny. I don't want to say I don't see color because it's there. But to me, like if I value a person based on their qualities, like if you're a good human being, like I'll value you no matter who you are. If you're a beautiful girl, it doesn't matter what color is your skin. It can be black, white, brown. It's like you're still beautiful. It's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So
Mhm.
when I saw her, I didn't really like. I didn't think about it at first. Like it was more of a, like an like thought afterwards. We started dating. I'm like, wow, I'm in an interracial relationship.
That is so cool. So we got to talk about stigmas because we are in the South.
Hmm.
Once you guys decided, hey, we're going to be serious about this, are there any type of stigmas you faced or any type of discrimination? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Um, I would say not as much as people would think, like I know it's out there, but we've been very blessed to not have encountered so much, at most people are really intrigued by us, which is nice. So yeah, we've encountered a lot of really friendly people. One time we had like one rude manager at a pizza place because they gave us a messed up pizza and we came back to get our fixed pizza. But that was more so like one specific situation. I don't think that had much to do with us and who we are as an interracial couple. And other than that, I think people are pretty intrigued. Like, oh, interesting. Like that one lady, one time we were in Costco and this lady asked us about scent beads because Costco is like our new favorite place as adults. And we were recommending her scent beads. And she's like, you guys are cute. So everyone's pretty chill. She was like a middle-aged white lady here in Tennessee. So people
So
are
you're
cool, a lot cooler than you would expect or some would expect. I expect them to be cool, but I hope for the best. So that's just me.
okay. Let's with you being from Russia, outside of race, you being from Russia, and you being from Memphis, what are some of the experience that you guys have been able to experience together that would have been different maybe if you had met your girlfriend in Russia or maybe if you'd met your boyfriend in Memphis?
So I think let's start with the important stuff. If my girlfriend would not be from Memphis, if I met her from Russia, I would have never actually ended up in Memphis. So when I moved to Tennessee, I don't really know anything about the state. I knew there exists Broadway. I knew that like there's Broadway in Nashville. That's about it. And everybody would constantly tell me how bad Memphis is. Like when I moved here, just nonstop. Like I've not heard a single person say positive things about Memphis until I met her. And I'm I'm a type of a guy. I'm not afraid to try something new. I'm not afraid for a change. You kind of have to become this way when you're an immigrant. You don't have an option to sit down and be like, that's it. I don't want to learn it. I don't want to learn anything new. And so when we first came to Memphis, I loved it. Honestly, I loved I fell in love with the atmosphere of the city. I love the food. I love the people. And funnily enough, Memphis reminds me, at the same time, as bizarre as it sounds, both Buffalo and just the way how it's structured, the way how the streets are, the way how the city flows in a way. And at the same time, that's the weird part. It reminds me a little bit of my hometown in Russia. And mind you, I'm not from a major city. I'm not from Moscow or St. Petersburg, anything like that. I'm from the equivalent, like imagine a small town in West Virginia, but flat. That's where I'm from. And there are parts of Memphis just like it just I don't know why I get this kind of deja vu feeling. Like I just feel at home over there. So that is, yeah, if I would not have met her, would not have get to experience that.
Yeah. So I would say, just in general, the cultural exchange between the two of us is really, really interesting. And that's something that I value the most out of our relationship. And I see it a lot, especially as the longer we stay together. It's been like 2 years going on. And so even little thing, well, it's not little, but I had never been above the Mason-Dixon line until I met Ilya. And that was like a year and a half ago when we went to go visit his family and I met them for the first time that I went above the Mason-Dixon line. So it's not that I never would have gone, but certain things like that have happened soon or I've had a reason to. Or we went skiing and I never ever thought that I would go skiing ever. So just like small cultural exchanges like that. Music is another thing. Yeah, that's been very interesting. He likes YG now and I like some Russian artists.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. So little things and big things too. I think food for him has been a big thing as well, like Southern food, Southern cooking.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like our pace of life is interesting. We like balance off well, you know?
Just to add a little bit on the food, so there's actually a cultural exchange that happened the other way, and it's not me introducing her to Russian food, which I have. Like there is Russian cuisine. We tried; it's pretty decent. It's more of a like global cuisine. So before I met her, like Maddie, she never like you never had sushi before, right?
No, oh my goodness, yeah.
Sushi or Thai?
Well, I think I had it once and I just wasn't feeling it. Like in my mind, I was like, it's raw fish. Like my parents didn't eat it growing up. I just wasn't feeling it. But now, oh my gosh, I love sushi. I want to get it all the time. And Thai food. But yeah, so we just like expose each other to different things that we wouldn't have tried otherwise. And I think a lot of that comes from us also trying to compromise for each other. So like I started to like Thai because I started to like sushi and he wanted Thai. So we ordered from a sushi and Thai place. And then I tried some of his Thai food and then it worked out well, so it's mostly us just trying to work to compromise.
Okay. Outside of race and, just different cultural differences, what do you guys love the most about this relationship?
How vibrant it is. It's never boring. There's again, I can't really speak for myself, but I'm pretty confident I can say that Maddie is a very multifaceted individual, and there's just so much to discover and uncover, and it's kind of like when light shines through a kaleidoscope or it shines through like through a prism, like depending on the angle of the light, it will like give you different colors and different patterns you didn't even imagine were there. And I feel like continuously for the for the duration of this relationship, I've been just seeing a new pattern, in the prism known as Madison every single day. And so it's
that was good. Cool. That was a good answer. Thank you. That was wonderful. Yeah, I like kaleidoscopes too. Okay, I'm here for that. Thank you. Yeah. So I would say I value like how well we fit together and how we push each other / keep each other on track. So I think that we're very, very productive together. We live a shockingly adult life for our age, and like adult in the best way, to the point where like, oh, let's go to bed early on Friday so we can get up and go to Costco first thing in the morning on Saturday, but little things like that. And then we've both in the past 2 years. So last summer we both got new jobs. And then this summer we also both got new jobs. So we've seen a lot of growth together. And I know we would both be successful on our own, but to have like a partner there with you to run with is really, really good. And I value that. I value having someone to like speed me up and slow me down, keep me on track, but also like, let's have fun sometimes, So yeah, that's like a long-winded answer, but that's what I value.
That was amazing. Both of you guys pretty much said the same thing about each other in different ways. So you stated that you guys balance each other out. Could you give some examples of how you balance each other out?
Oh man, it's hard to like verbalize. Like I know what they are, I guess.
Yeah, you can just give examples.
I mean, I can do a simple one. So when we talked about, like we're adulting really hard now, and sometimes you go to sleep on a Friday early. Well, it's like we are in a balancing force where sometimes like Maddie, she's more of a like going out type individual, so she wants to be like like out and about in the crowd, having fun. I get like we're in I find a public broadcast, I get boring and lame from time to time. And sometimes just want to like sit indoors, do nothing, watch some movies. And she's that kick in the ass that I need, from time to time, who comes in, it's like, hey, go do this.
Like, let's be young and fun,
She reminds me
because we have to do it right now, because otherwise, I mean, we don't have to, however.
No,
but like let's be young and fun while we are. Yeah. We can be adult and we're really good at it. But like, let's be young and fun too.
And I definitely see the benefits.
Yeah. What was the question again? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. How you guys balance each other out.
Oh, okay. So I remember now. That one was a good one. So I started thinking. So like on a very practical level, he's really good at cooking and he loves cooking and like elaborate meals. And I would kind of just feed myself balanced meals as an adult, but it wasn't like a priority for me. But I do love cleaning. So household wise, he cooks and I clean. And it's really good. Like that's a perfect delegation of duties. We'll both help each other with the task. It's not like completely on the other, but something like that. My preference is not his preference. So that's like a simple way to balance each other out that I appreciate a lot, because then everything gets done.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you guys, how did your parents play a role because I know you guys are really young, but how did your upbringing or your parents play a role in how you go about dating or how you go about vetting a mate?
Mm.
How about
I
you want to go first?
you can go first if you want.
Um, okay. For me, so it's actually interesting. So it might not seem that, but I'm a product of a technically interracial relationship.
Mm.
So my dad is a Russian Jew and my mom is ethnically Russian. So they are like considered to be, two different ethnicities. And a lot of problems that interracial couples and, their children actually have to deal with. I went through the same stuff growing up as a kid, trying to figure out your identity. Like, who are you? Like, which side do you belong with? And, watching like the fact that my parents, they dated each other, they've been married for like many years at this point. They come from different backgrounds, but I never I never got to see the prejudice from one side towards the other, the racism, the extended family, they might say some like dumb thing from time to time, just like have a uncle for Thanksgiving stories in America. But at least growing up watching them, watching that interracial relationship work, where people cherish their differences, where they try to support each other. Even though like my mom, she tried to like learn the Jewish culture. My dad, tried to be more understanding towards the Russians, and so on. And so just having this experience, just growing up with very different like two different sides of the family, very different mentalities of two people, gives me perspective on how to do the same thing, like like us dating right now interracially, because it's again we're humans after all. So that's what it taught me, that after all we're all just people.
So, the way my upbringing influenced how I'm dating or like chosen mate, I would say one, my parents are really interesting people. They're like one of a kind. They're very open minded and free spirited and unique. And I'm an only child, and I was their whole world growing up, and like in every way, which is great. I value it. And so I think they just taught me to like be open minded, and their interests have always been different. So it made my interest like, oh, let me expand a little bit, And then on top of that, me being an only child and me being their whole world, they taught me how to really value myself. They showed me what the value was in me. And that's why I wanted to look for someone who I felt valued me and really fit me. And I wasn't willing to settle. So I think that like love and that strong community and environment and self-awareness helped me choose a partner that's fitting,
Mm-hmm.
that's fitting and strong enough.
Okay. How long into the relationship was it before you guys met each other's families?
Um,
3 months for mine. We met like we went to a sports bar and watched a football game, a Bills game, the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, because he's from Buffalo. So we went to a sports bar here in Nashville. My parents met us there, and we just all hung out, sat together. And then after that, we spent a lot of time together. So we are all well acquainted now. But it was about 3 months before he met them.
And then for Maddie meeting my parents, it was April, I think.
Yep.
So it was let's say like five. Yeah, 5 or so months. I actually know, and that is the first time she went above Mason-Dixon line. That's what we went through, 2 weeks in Buffalo. The girl never been up north. It was, but my parents, they don't really have like they don't have ill will towards like the fact that she's not white. They themselves never really cared about it. So they accepted her, they welcomed her. Like my mom adores her. Like my dad loves hanging out and just like talking to her. So like I hope we gave her a good welcome, and she's been over there a bunch since. We went on vacations together.
Yeah,
and everybody's having a good time. And the fact that we're completely different background, different skin colors, doesn't affect it.
Yeah, we fit well into each other's families too. I would say that we both come from very interesting families, and we both mesh well with the others because of that. So that's nice.
Just one example of meshing. Last December, so my Jewish grandma was over. She came over from Russia, and my dad, he wanted to like drive her around the country, show her where the grandchildren live, and so they came to Nashville. And I was like, hey, like y'all should go to Memphis with me to check it out. And you should have seen it. My Jewish like tiny, like I don't know, 4'8" grandma who does not speak a single word of English. like and Maddie, just like an American girl hanging out. Just my grandma loves her now. She like asks about her all the time. Like they were just talking their respective languages. Just without, and it didn't seem like there was any miscommunication, and everybody was just loving it.
Yeah,
that's the cultural exchange.
It's very nice. Yeah. All the way from Russia, she came to Memphis and like went to Graceland and ate ribs with us.
You should have seen her eating.
So it's nice, yeah.
Oh, Graceland.
Yeah, people are still people. It really makes you realize that, no matter what part of the world they're from or where they came from or how they grew up, we're all still people.
Why do you think, and it doesn't have to be a matter of fact type of answer, but why do you guys think people are so afraid to maybe venture outside of their race or maybe their own culture? As far as dating goes.
Yeah, I would say the judgment. They're afraid of being judged. People are also afraid of challenges sometimes and being different. And it does come with challenges, but what good thing doesn't come with challenges, And I think you should always be interested in something that's not like you or something that's not like where you're from. And I think that's also something that influenced like why I'm here right now, why we're here, because we're so interested in things that are different from where we came from, because we know that so well. And I think people just get really comfortable with what they know really well, and they're afraid to branch out. So yeah, I think it's just fear and judgment. Otherwise, why wouldn't you,
I don't really have much to say on top of that. That was perfect. But just to add a little bit to it, it's most people, they just want to be comfortable. Like most people do not want to get out of their comfort zone. And the experience of dating interracially, there is the fear that you won't understand each other's cultures, fear of parents meeting each other's, fear of different mentalities. And it's really sorry for like going back to the immigrant experience. Not everybody has the sheer will to go travel across half the world, leave everything behind. Most people, even facing a life-threatening situation, even when the choices are very slim, like for my family in Russia right now, that's like one thing in my mind currently. And even with all the stuff going on, they just want to be comfortable. They don't want to leave. They don't want to try something the unknown, because people are afraid of the unknown. Because unknown, you have to adapt. You have to, you have to be nimble. You have to think, and it's hard.
It is scary. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it, and you really have to weigh things out as an adult. At least that's how I make my decisions. It might be scary, but what is the alternative? Is that also scary? Because if that's the case, then I'd rather take the risk. Absolutely. And so far, the risk has been very rewarding.
So we have a good saying in Russian: the ones who don't play don't get to drink champagne.
Cheers.
Yeah, and I drink champagne.
Yeah, I support that.
Right. So picking the right partner, I love, I'm going to kind of circle back and then we'll wrap things up because we're approaching 30 minutes. But you guys talk about ambition. And first of all, congratulations on you guys' new jobs.
Thank
you. What do you do for a living?
You want to go first, baby?
I work in publishing. That's what my background is in. Right now, I am with McGraw-Hill, which is a textbook publisher. A lot of us had McGraw-Hill textbooks. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. So I'm a royalty portfolio analyst. So in a way, I'm kind of like a portfolio manager specifically for contracts and overseeing royalties for authors, and basically making sure that they get paid at the end of the day, according to their contract and at the right rates, all of that stuff too. Yes, and some volunteer work on the side.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
And as for myself, I'm a staff software engineer at it's a small startup in the Midwest. They deal with logistics. So like logistics organization, streamlining the process, making sure, all the different parties can contact each other. I don't really do any of that. I work just on the login part. So when you like type in your username, password, log in, and all the stuff works or doesn't. If it doesn't, it's usually the fault of guys like me. But yeah, most of the time, just, mash fingers on the keyboard.
He does a lot more than that. I will say he simplifies it. Yeah, he simplifies it. But that's because it comes easy to him. But very impressive. Yeah.
It really is like solving problems.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Like software engineering is really like playing with Legos, where all of your Lego parts, you can just change them at will. You can, make any block different color, different density, different sizes. It's so limited just by your imagination. So all I do at my job is just, build Legos.
He's saying all he does. I'm looking like it's like
Yeah,
president.
listen, I'll just be quiet.
Right? I'm like,
Yeah, in the
what?
best way though. Yeah, it's good though. Very impressive. Yeah, and I like that we both have two different types of brains. You know what I mean? That's why it's like I don't understand it per se, but we're both very smart. You know, we just have two different
Yeah,
brains, which comes in handy
very
so
smart.
much throughout life. You know what I mean? You just have an alternate perspective, you know, to approach situations.
Mhm.
That's true.
But yeah.
Last question. So you guys, what are some deal breakers? Because I know, I want people to understand just because a person is a different race doesn't mean they may not be compatible with you. So, what were some deal breakers that you guys had? Like, this is not a person that I would want to date, or these are the type of qualities I want in a mate.
Mm-hmm.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I think the biggest one for me would be lack of ambition. I've, met too many people who, you have all these opportunities in front of you and they just choose to not do anything with it and then they just complain and whine. And I just really don't like it in people. I like people who are determined, driven, people who want to, go above and beyond. And this lady goes even past that.
Thanks. So, okay,
Yeah,
just making
it.
sure. Yeah, that was pretty simple. That was going to be my first one for sure. It's like drive, ambition. Like, do you have goals? And on top of that, do your goals align with mine? More importantly, because I respect everyone else's goals, but can we do life together? If we didn't have a similar 5-year plan or 10-year plan before each other, then I personally can say I wouldn't have even moved in with him because, like, why if we don't have a future together? That's another reason why he's my first boyfriend, because if we're not going to have a future, then what's the point, So I would say having goals, having similarly aligned goals, and also I need you to be morally upstanding too. That's very important. Like, how are you going to go about achieving those goals? And why do you want them? Like, why do you want what you want? So yeah, all of his answers for those were great. So here we are.
I also second all of those answers.
Okay, did you have any other deal breakers besides ambition?
Uh, for myself, I mean, it's what Maddie just said. I want a date person who is good. I don't want to date, like immoral human being. People who don't care about others. People who, when you see somebody in need and you walk by them, that's generally not a good look. People people who kick dogs. Like I'm a huge animal. Like I love animals.
Yeah, that was
like
so specific.
So I just thought of like, I mean, I'm going through my head for all the possible deal breakers.
I went like you monster. Like,
that's funny.
No, she does not kick dogs.
I know she does.
Over here.
Man, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
And I think one more for me would be not accepting me for who I am. Like I'm a very interesting individual with very unique background. And I will like, yes, like I'm in America in Rome, do what the Romans do, adapt to the culture. But at the same time, I want like a little bit of my uniqueness, a little bit of that spunk to still be there. And I can't be with somebody who, denies me that, who, basically like an example would be if, like, again, like this does not apply to Madison at all. Like if she, like every time I spoke Russian to my family, she'd be like, oh, I go speak English or something, not be interested in my culture. But then like I, she has the same exact conditions. So like if I wasn't interested in her, know what she is about and her background, I also would not be here.
Yeah, I think ambition and goal, all of that is just a good way to sum up everything because that's most important. The deal breaker per person can change, so it's not just like one hard rule. Because also I feel like that kind of that limits you. That's not being open-minded, because no two people are alike. So a deal breaker for one person, actually, well, I guess it's still a deal breaker if it's not going to work for me, but it's hard to think about something specific. I just need to know that long-term we align. And of course, like we click, we get along, there's chemistry.
Okay. Are there some things, and then we're going to wrap things up. Are there some things you guys learned about each other or about yourselves while being in this relationship?
For myself, just because she comes from a completely different background from mine, like complete, we do different jobs, different fields, different domains. We, come like, she's born in Memphis, Tennessee, born in Russia. She's as Southern as it gets. I spent my life in America up north. just realizing how well we click, completely different backgrounds. I mean, again, I was born on the other side of the globe compared to Madison. And when we talk to each other, I could have been, born like on the street next to her, because, she gets me and, I get her, even, with all of our different backgrounds. And that's honestly incredible. Just how well we click together.
I would say about myself, what I've learned is about how open-minded I am and how open I am to just go do something else. So say like if Russia wasn't in the state that it's in, if we were going to go to Russia, I would easily go to Russia with him. And some people would be like, dang, you gonna go to Russia? Like, that's far. They don't have Black people over there. But I would still go, So I always knew that I was open-minded, but this has kind of like tested it, And I think it will only continue to be more open-minded. Yeah.
Test pass with flying colors.
Yeah. I think we both knew ourselves very well before getting into this relationship, which is also what has helped us stay in it, like get in one, choose the right one, and stay in it. So yeah, since we knew each other or knew ourselves so well, now we're just kind of growing together. And like you said, we're so similar, yet so different that we just kind of came together and grow together.
Opposites attract.
Yeah. Yeah, we say yin and yang sometimes.
We really are.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
last question. So to anyone who is wanting to become more open-minded in maybe opening up the dating pool and maybe dating inside and outside of their race and culture, what advice would you give to them if they say, I'm just not comfortable doing it because of what other people think?
Stop being shallow and like get out of your head and like what everyone else says and get to know yourself, like get out of your head, but get into yourself and like figure out what you truly like, and what you truly like will honestly not have that much to do with what the person looks like. And I think that goes back to why our deal breakers or whatever come down to like ambition and what kind of person you are. So figure out what you really like and then go from there and do it in an open setting or like with an open mind. I would also say something that really helps with that though is getting away from where you were born and raised. Like we're huge advocates for moving away, because even if you move away and you hate it, you can always come back. Home will always be there. But when you're just stuck in this same little bubble and this pool, it's harder to get out of that mindset. So I say like, go do something completely different, relearn yourself, and then take a new approach at the world. Start fresh.
As for me, my advice would be, if you're in a situation where you are surrounded, there's somebody that you are attracted to. The moment that subconscious thought goes into your head that's like, hey, this person is attractive, that means that like it's a good thing. That means like give it a try. Like, and then all the other stuff, what color of their skin they have, their background, their religion, or like what would parents think. Don't worry about it, because the most important thing is that attraction. Because again, in the end, we're all humans. If you're beautiful, if you're like a good person, people will be attracted to you, disregarding the, like where you come from, disregarding your background, skin color, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And as for parents, you're not dating the parents.
Right. Yeah. Straight up. Yeah. Just take it one step at a time. And I think that's something, when he first asked me to be his girlfriend, I was like, I've never had a boyfriend before, and I know I want to have a family one day. So of course that needs to happen. But I was like, okay, we'll just go one step at a time. So we've been going one step at a time, and they've been some very good steps. We've stepped a lot of ways, so just one step at a time. And that's about it. It's worked out well for us so far.
And yeah, don't be afraid to jump into the unknown.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Don't be shallow.
Yeah. Nothing good in this life came from sitting on your ass and doing nothing.
Right. Yeah. I got one last question, because
what's that?
You guys, he must be a heck of a guy, because you said he's the first one. What qualities, and then I'm going to wrap it up for real. What qualities did he possess that made you say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give this a try?
He was respectful, and he took care of me in a sense, the same way I take care of him too. But like, he fulfilled my idea of a man, which is completely subjective, but it was good for me, So yeah, like he treated me well, and we got along really well, and we had a lot of fun. and he was smart and had goals. So if all of the boxes say yes, then why say no? You know, I had no reason to say no, so I did it. Yeah, that's no problem. I got you. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, you guys, it was definitely a pleasure. Thanks for hanging with me on Dear Shamika, the podcast. And this episode will be available on my YouTube channel tomorrow, as well as Facebook, and I'll make sure to tag you.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks.
Say bye.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have a good Sunday. Bye-bye.